The pressure to reinvent yourself in January for the new year is setting you up to fail. Everywhere you look right now, it's vision boards, goal setting, new year, new me. But here's the truth. Most resolutions don't last. Studies show that most people abandon their resolutions within a couple weeks, and that's because they're missing the most important step. Winter was never meant for rushing ahead. Nothing in nature blooms in January. The earth rests, animals hibernate, and seeds stay tucked underground. And that rhythm is built into us too. So instead of forcing new goals, I want to show you a different way to use this season. A 4-part reflection process that you can do during the winter hibernation that is going to set you up for real growth in the spring. Before we get into my 4-step process, let me introduce myself if you're new here. Hi everyone, my name is Rachel. I make cozy productivity vlogs that help you find the magic in the mundane and build a life that you actually enjoy. Now that I introduced myself, let's get into the 4-step process. Stage 1 is to reflect. So this is where you want to look back at your entire year. Not just your memories, but what you actually wrote and what you created. So here's how you're going to do this. You are going to gather your receipts, your data. We love data. I'm a data fan. Chef's kiss for having hard data. So you want to look back through any journal entries, any diary entries, your morning pages, your camera roll. If you already set and plan goals in a goal planner or digitally, you want to look back through those. Or maybe you're like me and you're a content creator, you vlog your life, you express yourself on the internet or through whatever social media platform you have. Maybe you blog or have a Substack. Pull all that material out too. If the whole year feels really overwhelming, I recommend just zooming in on one aspect of your life. Maybe it's your job or your career. Maybe it's your personal passion, your hobbies, or maybe it's your health, your fitness, your wellness. Take it step by step and break it down into smaller, manageable chunks so it doesn't seem like you have to review every aspect of your life all at once. So as you start looking at this data and going through all the things that you collected over this past year, you want to ask yourself, what brought me joy? What drained my energy? Which habits or routines actually worked and which ones didn't, and why? What goals did I follow through on? Why was I able to achieve those goals? Which goals didn't I hit and why didn't I hit them? And what favorite memories from this past year do you want to carry forward with you? So for me, one of the most eye-opening things that I've done is went back and reread some of my morning pages from 2021 because in my mind, I felt like I was improving my life at that time. And when I look back at what I wrote, I realized that I was still unhappy and depressed and frustrated, especially with things in my career and my routines and my habits. And I wouldn't have thought that from hindsight if I didn't have it written down somewhere from before. So that was a big eye-opener for me going a couple years back and looking at how I felt then to how I feel about my life now. I kept calling myself lazy. I kept questioning why I couldn't find discipline and motivation. And I was talking so negatively for myself. And it's like, yeah, girl, no wonder you were so miserable because you just kept resetting that negative talk to yourself and living in negativity. And now I don't even talk to myself that way. So it was definitely good to go back and see how far I've come with my negative self-talk. That's the big value that comes with reflecting, is that you will look back and see things that you missed or things that you completely were not aware of until you went back and looked through them. That's something that you really want to pay attention to when you go back through all your data, your journals, your photos, anything that you captured with how you felt, what was going on in your life through the past year. So you don't want to rush through this. You want to make space for it. You want to make time for it. And reflection isn't about judgment. It's just about noticing the patterns. goals. Step 2 is to assess. This is where you take inventory of your life, how you're spending your time, who you're surrounding yourself with, and how satisfied you really are in those different areas. This can be tough. It's not meant to be easy, and you do want to be very, very honest with yourself, even if you're seeing things in this section that you don't like. You want to start by assessing your time so you can do what I call a time audit. You want to look at your screen time, how much you're using your phone, your social media, how long you're spending watching TV, how long does it take you to clean your house, how long does it take you to clean the kitchen, how much time are you investing into prepping and cooking your food, how much time are you investing into your exercise and fitness habits. This isn't looking at just the negative habits that you're consuming, it's looking at the positive too, because when you have a realistic idea of how long it takes you to do the things that you do in your everyday life, you're going to be able to either trim that down or know that you need to cut certain things out or make time for certain things that are important to you. When you're doing your time audit and looking at how you spend your time, you also want to ask yourself, is how I'm spending my time aligning with my core values? And if it's not, then you know that that's something that you're going to need to work on or you're going to need to change. I did a time audit in 2024 for my YouTube channel because I wanted to see how long it took me from start to end to produce a YouTube video. And the reason that I wanted to know that is to see if there's ways I can make it faster. Can I make the system better? Can I make the process work better? And also it gave me a great idea of how much time it would take me to produce a video when I did go back to work and how I can fit YouTube into my life and into my schedule when I'm working a full-time job. I also check my phone screen time because Apple already provides that for you. And if I'm looking at this just casually and I see that I've spent too much time on TikTok or Instagram or something like that, then I know, hey, I got to reel that back in because I don't want to spend all of my time consuming media because I want to create it instead. The next audit you want to do in step 2 is a relationship audit. So this is where you want to look at the 5 people that you spend your most time with. When you think about the people that you spend your time with the most, you want to ask yourself questions like, how do I feel when I'm around these people? Do these people make me feel good about myself? Do they energize me? Do they drain me? Do they make me feel bad about myself? Do I have to put all of my energy into keeping this relationship growing? Do they encourage me? Do they support me? Are they growing with me or are they growing away from me? This is not the easiest thing to do, especially because relationships have a lot of emotions attached to them. So you do want to be really honest with yourself. And when you do this, you want to be in a good space, a good mental space to put time and effort into thinking about this. And I'm not saying just a romantic partner, it could be friendships or it could even be family that makes you miserable and isn't adding any value or positivity to your life. If you're outgrowing someone or someone's draining you or you're in a toxic friendship or relationship, you really just need to face it head on and figure out what you want to do to change that relationship or remove yourself from it. Final audit in this stage is to do a satisfaction audit. This is where you rate every area of your life on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, I love this, this is fantastic, and 1 being, this is absolutely terrible, what am I doing with my life here? The areas of your life that you want to evaluate are your career, your friendships, which we kind of already did in the last audit, your health, your finances, recreation, spirituality, your environment. Those are just a few areas that you might want to review. You might have more depending on what's important to you and what you value for your life. And the point of doing this exercise isn't getting 10s across the board because nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're never going to hit perfect. The goal is to see what areas are doing well and what areas need more support and more work. Once you complete this exercise, you don't have to overwhelm yourself with trying to fix every area of your life. You might only want to pick 1 or 2 that are a high priority to you. For example, this past year, one of the things I really wanted to work on was my exercise, my physical health and wellness. And so I put a lot of energy into fixing that this year and didn't really focus on too many of the other areas because I knew that this was the year I wanted my exercise habit to finally stick, and I had to do whatever it took to get that to finally work out for me. So that was the one that I focused on for this past year. I also find that it helps to not just give a 1 through 10 score, but to write down why you're giving that score. That way you can go back and look at this later and be like, hey, I have no idea why I rated this a 5 because I thought things were great. But if you write down why you gave it a 5, when you go back and reflect on this later in the years to come and in the months to come, you know exactly why you were feeling that way at that time. This whole process is not meant to be easy and it can get emotional. You may shed tears. I have definitely done that when I've been doing these reflections before, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with feeling emotional about where you're at in your life. You do want to give yourself space to feel those emotions and give yourself time to work through all of this, because it's not something that's super easy to just start looking at and reflecting on. You don't want to do it when you have other priorities or you have time-sensitive things that you have to focus on that day. Just remember that emotions are fleeting. So even if you're feeling not so great about this reflection part right now, that's a temporary feeling and it's eventually going to go away. Step 3 in the reflection process is to answer key questions. So at this point, we gathered a lot of data. We reflected and analyzed on things, and now we kind of want to go deeper. This is where you stop skimming the surface and dig into what worked and what didn't, and what you actually want moving forward. Again, this is not about having perfect answers. This is about being brutally honest with yourself. So some of the questions that I like to ask myself are, what's something I keep saying I wanted to do but never made time for? And why have I not made time for that? What habits drain me the most? And what habits actually gave me energy? What surprised me about myself this year? What moment made me feel the most true to myself? What fears or challenges did I overcome? And how did it change me? What am I most proud of that I never give myself credit for? If I repeated this exact year for the rest of my life, how would I feel about that? If I didn't see tomorrow, would I be okay with how I live my life? What do I want to be known for? So when I started asking myself, what do I want to be known for? It made me realize very, very quickly, like the instant thing was, I don't want to just be someone that went to work every day, had a 9-to-5 job, put my time in, got my paycheck, and that was it. I wanted to be known for and want to be remembered for helping people find the best version of themselves and to just be happy. And I wanted to be known for the way I created and the way that I just kept learning. Answering that question, what do I want to be known for and how do I want to be remembered, really changed how I did my goal setting process moving forward. You also don't have to answer all these questions. I would pick 1 or 2 that really stand out and take your time, go deep. Go as deep if you want to, even if one of these questions ends up sparking an entire multiple page essay, that's completely fine. That's awesome. So after you picked 1 or 2 that you definitely want to answer, and this is a non-negotiable, you have to do this, pick the one that you don't. Pick the one that makes you feel uncomfortable. Pick the one that you don't want to spend your time answering. You want to lean into that fear of whatever it is that's making you avoid that question and making you feel uncomfortable, because that is where the real growth is going to happen. So if you're avoiding a certain question because you're avoiding the answer, then that's probably something that you need to work on. Growth happens when you get comfortable being uncomfortable. Step 4 is connecting the dots, and this is where everything starts coming together. So you've reflected, you assessed, you answered questions, you analyzed all the data and all the receipts that you had, and now we want to piece all these together. So this is where you want to look and see the patterns. What's your wins? what's your losses, and what's the lessons and takeaways from analyzing this data. A couple questions you want to ask yourself when you're looking and analyzing through this data and connecting all the dots. What patterns keep showing up year after year after year? What goals do I keep writing down but I never hit them? What are the roadblocks, or in corporate world we like to say bottlenecks? What's stopping you? What's standing in your way of achieving your goals or getting what you want? What small changes made the most impact? Where do I keep telling myself the same story, and is it really true? As I mentioned earlier, I went back through my morning pages from 2021 and I highlighted them, I color coded them, and I started tallying up the reoccurring themes. In a way, it was like I was annotating my own journals, my own thoughts and notes. And that made it so clear where I was stuck and what was not working and what was working and what made me feel good about myself and where I didn't feel good. You can do the same with whatever format works for you, highlighting, annotating, making notes. The point is really just to see the themes that keep reoccurring over and over again. I did touch on this briefly earlier, but one of the patterns that kept coming up in my goal planners year after year after year was exercising, finding a fitness routine, finding a way to be a fitness girly, and to make fitness and exercise a habit and find a way to make it consistent. Just like the earlier steps, this takes a lot of brutal honesty with yourself. So if you keep seeing those patterns and they keep repeating, don't be afraid to tackle them for this upcoming year. Don't worry about connecting all of the dots perfectly. Even spotting one or two patterns and focusing on those can be enough to shift the way you think about yourself and your goals. The point isn't perfectionism, it's to understand yourself and to know thyself. So that way you can move forward with more clarity. This is exactly what I do every winter. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of brutal honesty with yourself. So that's why I give myself the whole season to reflect and analyze and assess and to connect all the dots. Reflection just fits into the season. Nature isn't blooming right now, and so we shouldn't be forcing ourselves to either. Winter gives us the perfect space to pause, to process, and to reflect. So that way, when spring does come, we can be clear, rested, and ready for real growth. So now, instead of resolutions that fizzle out by February, you have a real reflection framework. Reflect, assess, answer the hard questions, analyze, and connect the dots. This is the foundation for growth that is easy to maintain and actually lasts. And remember, this reflection isn't separate from goal setting. It's a part of the core foundation of it. How can you set meaningful goals if you don't know where you are, what patterns are shaping you, and who you're becoming? This is the foundational work that makes goal setting possible. So here's my challenge for you. Pick one reflection question, especially the one that you don't want to answer, and sit with it this week. Write it down, be honest, and see what comes up. And then tell me in the comments which question you're starting with. If you love this reflection process, you're going to want to check out my full life audit video. It has everything I do from start to finish, including this reflection process. And it even comes with a free guide so you can follow along. I hope you enjoyed this reflection process deep dive video. If you do have any other questions, please comment them down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to connect with you in the next video.